My 7-year-old daughter makes her first sale. My at the time 7-year-old daughter loved to help with every little household task. She loved drying the dishes, watering the plants, sorting the mail, even answering the phone. So whenever I'd have to take her to work with me or out on a boring errand, I'd try and find some small job for her to do to keep her occupied and feeling a valued part of things. For example, if we were at the grocery store, I might suggest she help the clerks by turning all the cans so their labels faced right side out, etc. And what was really helpful is that it allowed me to finish up in the tasks much more quickly. So when I picked her up from school one day, I had to run to a home goods department store and grab a few things for an urgent repair. She was getting restless, so I parked her in the plumbing department and said she could be helpful to the store by going through their big row of pipes and returning the mismatched ones to their proper holders. Our dad's a plumber, so she knew all about which ones went where. Off I went to finish up a few paces over. I was occupied for all of 10 minutes and periodically peeked over to see how she was getting by. She'd moved on from the pipes after a bit, but was checking out other products and seemed entertained enough. So I take a couple minutes more, and all of a sudden I hear, "Associate to aisle 14, please. We need an associate in aisle 14," in a young, chipper, 7-year-old voice. I dash back to the plumbing section, and she's nowhere to be found. Then I hear, "It seems we have a birthday in the store. Happy birthday to shopper Nicholas Manixky." And her unmistakably enthused twang she took on when talking about something as exciting to her as birthdays. It was the most enthusiastic announcement this big box store probably ever heard. It brought on some clapping and whooping from shoppers that made it hard to discern the location of the box, but I could just barely pick out where the PA was coming from. By the time I got there, my daughter was engrossed in conversation with a young couple, not young like 7, young like 25, and was gesturing animatedly at a set of sink fixtures. I thought maybe she was asking them for directions to where I might be shopping or something, but instead I hear, "Yeah, you'll want the chrome extender. You'll never sweat the dishes again. It's such a centerpiece in the room. The store also offers extenders in copper." And I tapped her on the shoulder, unsure of why she was chatting up these shoppers about faucet-ons, figuring she'd be relieved to see I'd found her. Instead, she whips around and goes, "Excuse me, Mom, I'm with a customer," and turns right back to her discussion. So I throw my hands up and just hover in the background waiting to see how this all shakes out, because if I already knew anything about my daughter, it's that when she's decided to do something, it's happening one way or another. So she continues talking to these two morons, unfazed by her age about the sink, answering their questions and making suggestions. At first I was flabbergasted by the fluidity with which she was generating these seemingly accurate responses, and wondering if she was sitting up at night watching the Home Improvement Channel or something, but I soon recognized the lines. She was parroting her father's sales pitches from work, with some of her own editorials mixed in. He advises people on fixtures all the time, and his firm got a kickback if he could convince clients to buy from their supplier. The more it ons, the better, so she was laying it on thick. The couple left agreeing to purchase a whole new sink. If I didn't have to rush out to get another child from daycare, I would have badgered the store for a commission check, When my daughter wrapped up with her customers, I asked her what all had just happened. She explained while she was sorting the pipes, people kept coming up and asking her for advice. I guess I looked smart. It took me a minute to figure out what had happened, because plenty of people who are actually of age to work in the place have been kneeling down rifling through the pipes, and they aren't mistaken for workers. I've certainly never been. It wasn't until checkout that it hit me. On this particular day, her class had gone on a field trip or put on a presentation day or something, in which all of the children had to wear official name tags the teacher had drawn up for them. She was especially proud of hers and kept it right in the middle of her shirt. It was indistinguishable from the ones employees had on their vests, just a standard red and white. "Hello, my name is blank." People were on such autopilot that they didn't process her age, or were so impressed by her unprecedented knowledge of plumbing goods that they set it aside. She confirmed that she knew exactly what to recommend from going to work with Dad, asked how she ended up manning the PA system, and she explained another employee who'd seen her helping the store customers realized how helpful she could be, so asked her to make an announcement, just like I'd asked her to help sort those pipes, and she was happy to lend a hand. Asked how she knew how to operate a PA system, and, to my chagrin, she explained her older sister jumped on the PA system whenever she and her friends came by the department store. She often babysat and ran errands for me, so that was a good data point to have. And she added that someone she'd helped with a fixture decision had mentioned how he was remodeling his house for a 50th birthday present to himself, and she always loves when the bowling alley announces birthdays, so she wanted to try and get the practice started everywhere with the capacity for announcements. And wasn't that a great idea? So she most certainly did not work there, but she was just as helpful as those who did, and I guarantee she had twice as much fun.
A tactical Karening, the Karen gets Karened. I was witness to possibly the most hilarious Karen interaction I'd ever seen. In this I was just an onlooker, and didn't play a part at all. There are three players in this dialogue. K. Karen, to C, the nicely dressed but unfortunate customer who Karen decided worked there, and HC, the hilarious customer who, well, it'll all become clear. Yesterday in fact, I went to pick up some groceries at Asda, British company, owned by Walmart, edit, until February, but less trashy. As I'm shopping with my trolley, I hear the harumph of an approaching Karen behind me, but to my surprise he walks straight past me to UC, demanding this, that and the other, to which UC responds with, "Sorry, but I don't work here." As Karen starts accusing him of lying, etc., I figure that I'll stick around and see what happens. It might be funny, but if she assaults the guy or accuses him of something, I'll be a witness. As I'm listening to UC reiterate that he doesn't work for Asda, and Karen repeatedly accuse him of lying, another customer, HC, comes past and addresses the Karen in a big booming voice. Finally, a manager, he booms at her. "Some woman just accused me of not helping her when I'm a customer here. Now what are you going to do about it? Oh, the irony." Karen turns to HC and says, "What? I'm not a manager, what do you?" But gets cut off mid-sentence by HC, "Of course you're a manager. I've seen you talking to customers. No, you are going to help me." Karen tries to explain that she was talking to UC, who she says works there, but in the confusion, UC had wisely ducked out, leaving Karen saying, "I was talking to," as she gestures at an empty space. Suddenly she is alone. HC, well, hanging around speaking to staff isn't very professional, is it? You should be doing your job, helping customers, starting with me. Karen then just screams, "I don't fucking work here, fuck off," and walks off clearly upset, abandoning her shopping trolley. That's a shopping cart to those who live in the States in the process. You see who's been waiting on the next aisle walks back at this point and says, "Oh, she's gone." "Yeah, well," says HC, "that got rid of her," smiles vaguely, and just continues shopping like nothing had happened. "See, whoever you are, you're a fucking legend."
I was just fired for the second time after quitting years ago. A long story short, in 2014, I was working at a pizza chain in a rural Utah farming town. I won't say which one, but they're a national chain known for being greasy. At the beginning of July, I gave a 2-week notice to my manager that I'd be leaving to move out of state to be closer to family and a better job market. I finished out my time as promised, moved, found a new, better gig, and that was that. Of course, you read the title, so you know that wasn't really all. In summer of 2015, I received a call from a new store manager. He informed me that he's been putting me on schedule, and it was unacceptable that I wasn't even coming in to look. If I didn't show up today, he would have no choice but to fire me. I asked, did the old manager not take me out of the system after I quit last year? He grumbled and made some snarky complaint that if I had quit a year ago, I wouldn't be in his scheduling program. I didn't know I live in a completely different state and working a completely different job, and would not be showing up for any shifts he scheduled me for. He threatened to fire me again, and I reiterated, "Hey, I don't actually work for you, so do what you gotta." And he hung up, and that was the last I heard of it. Until we fast forward to yesterday. I received a letter from the corporate office informing me that per their records, I hadn't shown up to work since July 2014, and unfortunately, they were going to have to terminate me. I still almost can't stop laughing, especially since, you know, they sent the letter to the address I gave them when I quit. LDR, I've now been fired twice from a job I quit. Spelling.
Check out my other tremendous videos.